Five, four, three, two, one. Good evening and welcome to the Warren Parker Podcast. My name is Cliff Ward. I'm American. I don't know why I hit American every time, but I'm really sorry. Um,
Excited and raise your voice. You go
I,
American.
I do mean to do a nice intro. It's becoming the part of the thing. Um, I'm Cliff, and I am the guitarist and singer-songwriter in Ward and Parker, and this is
John. Not American at all. Double bass beatboxer, painter, decorator, carer, reader.
yeah.
In Woodland Parker. All of those things.
And this is our podcast where we talk utter bullshit and have a nice chat, and
Yeah.
you put the world to rights.
But whether
In this episode, we're actually having a nice interview with the lovely Pete Ord. We've not done this all seamlessly at the same time, so we should let slip that we recorded our interview with Pete a couple of weeks ago during the holidays, and it is now the 16th of September as we do this, and we're now doing like the intro to that. So this first half is me and John, and then we're going to go to our interview with Pete. It's very exciting. So yeah, that's what's going down.
it feels like months ago since we did that interview.
Yeah, it does. It was only a couple of weeks ago.
Mad. Yeah, no idea.
I know. Crazy times.
I've missed it. I missed that our regular podcast.
I know. It's really good. So I'm looking forward to this term. So as we go forwards, the plan is that Warden Parker should do a regular podcast now going through to Christmas. So there should be one probably every fortnight. I think we talked about doing weekly or fortnightly, and we feel that a week is not really quite enough for us to have nice, fresh thoughts and ideas and things to chat about. So if we give it a couple of weeks, it gives us time to have some nice, fresh things to chat with. So I think I'm going to go fortnightly. This should come out a week after we've done it, and then next week we'll do the next one. So I think that's how we're going to do it. Oh, it sounds very professional, doesn't it, John?
Yeah, it really does. You're definitely on it. You're definitely back at work. I can tell.
Actually, I just put Ruben to bed. It took ages. He was a right monkey, as usual. Ignored anything I had to say. Doesn't do anything I tell him to. And
Uh,
I fell asleep. So I've just been asleep for like 10 minutes, and then he woke me up and said, "Stop snoring." Uh,
fell
so
asleep in his room
yeah.
whilst putting him to bed. You fell asleep.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Have you? Have you? Are you his granddad?
this
Is
is
that
good,
what's
good parenting. That is.
amazing? That is amazing.
I know it's going to be interesting, isn't it? So yeah, so I was knackered, and I was very close to going. You know what? I don't think I can talk anymore. It's my throat is completely dried up from talking all day, teaching. Because it's September and I'm back in school. The numbers are rising, the COVID numbers are rising, and I'm back at work. It's very strange and not good, as they say.
It's weird. My sister's isolating again because a kid in her school has got COVID, and there's a lot of local lockdowns around here. I mean, I'm basically more or less shielding. I just read that Boris Johnson is really resistant to a second full lockdown, but I think shielding will come back. So,
I'm sure he is because he's just got everything started again. So
well, if you can call bumbling around aimlessly starting, yeah, I guess so. Sorry.
they don't know what they're doing. They're just making it up. They're just winging it, aren't they? Really?
Absolutely, absolutely. But weirdly, I've got a festival on Friday,
Yeah.
and I wish I'd said no, but I am actually doing it. Apparently, they're only allowed to sell 20% of the tickets. So
Okay.
it all just feels a bit weird. It all just feels a bit wrong, and yeah, I won't be doing that again.
Yeah, it's very strange, isn't it? It's very.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'm definitely conflicted. It feels weird personally for me to be doing it just because of my situation, but
you
yeah,
have to be very careful. You know, you're gonna have to wear your mask most of the time and be a bit strict with yourself because it's really hard. As soon as you get out and no one else is wearing one or whatever, and people aren't socially distancing after a few beers,
yeah,
it's really hard for you to then be strict with yourself and go, I just have to keep my distance.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna arrive just before I play, then get back in my car and go home again. Um, because yeah, well, partly because I can't leave mum anyway. So
No, I'm just gonna grab my other headphones because I've just thought I'm just concerned that the sound might be a problem going from my speakers into my microphone. I'm sure it won't. But I hadn't
yeah,
even thought about that. So I'm
yeah,
just
like a recording studios.
so you can carry on talking.
Great. I could say all the things I wanted to say about Cliff that you didn't know, which is not a lot. I've got a new turntable, which is very exciting. A Riga, I think it's called a Planer 3. Amazing. Oh my God. I had a project one, but I treated it badly like I do most of my things. But and now I've got a decent vinyl player. I'm just, yeah, just going through my vinyl and going, oh my God, this is so good. So if there is a second lockdown or if I have to shield, then okay, I've got lots to listen to. It's amazing. And yeah, reading. God, what am I reading at the moment? A book on the Enlightenment. Yeah, I'm reading two books that are positive, which is very, very weird for me.
I
You back?
Okay, that's good. I've been reading I've been audio booking a book called Unsolved for Happy. Do you know that? Solve for Happy?
No.
Solve for Happy. It's about it's written by a chap who whose son's tragically died in a on the operating table and you know, quite young. It's written by Mo Gaudet, and he went on this massive quest to sort of analyze what being happy is and how you can be happier yourself. And it's brilliant. It's a really good book. Definitely, I would recommend it. Solve for Happy. Go check it out. It's
Cool.
incredible. Yeah, it's good. Good read. So there you go. That's
Uh,
something positive.
Both of the books I'm reading are basically books that are saying that uh, things are not as they seem in the media, so that there's a lot of really positive things happening. And Steve Pinker's book is very famous, and it basically, with lots of graphs, just basically says, look, we're living longer, we're healthier, we've got food, da 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 da. The world is a much better place. And then the other book I'm reading is also a similar thing, where it's basically saying
I think I've heard.
things are good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Things are way, way better than they used to be. But we always
Yeah.
think everything is bad, and nostalgia kicks in, and we think everything was much nicer back in the day when that just
Yeah.
isn't true. You know, like
And I think
way
we
less.
have a tendency to think that people would do really bad things to. Oh, there was a weird glitchiness there.
Yeah, it's okay. Shut that. Did I
Don't
just
worry.
yeah?
I'll just, we can do that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I've been reading some kind of like financy, businessy books. That's exciting, isn't it? I think because I haven't been working, because I wasn't working for the summer. I've had sort of itchy feet, and my brain's been going off in different directions, and I've been trying to think of like how can I make some money alongside teaching, as like a side project, that kind of thing. And Jade's got some various sort of project ideas that she wants to explore. So I've been reading a book called The Unfair Advantage, which is a fantastic book by the guys who invented Just Eat. And it's all about when you're trying to find something, a business to start, it's all about looking at what advantages you've got in yourself. And it just talks about what are those different things and how can you find them, work out what it is. Because often, if you're trying to think of these things, you just kind of draw a blank. So it's like looking at, who do you know, who are your contacts, all that kind of stuff. So it's a really good book. It's really interesting. Yeah, cool book. And then I've just started reading the Common Sense Investing book. So I've only just started that, but I think it'll be a good read. For some reason, I just can't get my head into reading novels and things like that at the moment. I don't think I've been able to do that properly for like a year. I start reading like a good Stephen King, and I just can't carry on. You ever had that? I just can't get my head into it.
I tend to find I worry I'm wasting my time when I read a novel, which is just ridiculous. And I read novels really quickly now. But yeah, and my course dictates that I have quite a lot of books to read.
Yeah.
Books I don't understand, and I have a dictionary and my book, and I'm going, what does that word mean? And what I want to try and do is make sure that I actually understand every word rather than glossing over it, which tends to be what I do. But yeah, and I have a real serious book buying habit. Like so I'm trying. I haven't bought a book today. That's good.
Oh dear. Well, I bought that book. I bought the Common Sense Investing book yesterday or the day before, and I bought another one called Never Split the Difference, which is about written by a guy who used to do interrogations and stuff, and it's about negotiation and improving your negotiating skills, which again is quite useful for like business kind of stuff. But that should be interesting.
Are you going into some sort of hedge fund management?
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Wa-
Uh,
Warden Park is like
Not that
a
much
back.
music. I hate to break it to you. No, I'm thinking about the future, about like pensions, investments, all very exciting, boring stuff that so that I don't have to work when I'm 90 if I live that long. Because I haven't got a pension or anything like that. I've been self-employed pretty much my whole life, so there's not. I need to. I'm 40 next year, and I really need to think. Right, okay, it gives me like 25 years um, to really to have something there. So I've got time, but I need to do it now.
Wow, you grew up in the summer holidays we had.
Yeah, I got really boring, didn't I? Jeez, it's all right.
I
I did
mean,
have Jack Daniels the other day.
right, thank God, I was a bit worried. I was like, "Is Cliff there?" Because yeah. Wow. Oh, well, I haven't done any of those things. I bought a turntable.
Yeah, man. This is good because this is a question from a listener who asked. It was
Chris Fox.
Chris Fox, and Chris Fox asked us, could you recommend any turntables and such? What would you buy?
Riga.
And you've already
Riga.
bought one. So what did you buy, John?
I got a Riga Planer 3, I think it's called. And it's amazing. I mean, it's not entry level, but Riga are great. And I bought their amp as well. It was a lot of money. Um,
It's actually red one as well.
yes, yeah, you can get red, white, or black. But I bought it from Hi-Fi X in Coventry, which is really good. And they've got a really good online store as well.
They local business, man.
They are a local business. Riga are English as well, so they don't sell them abroad. But it's just beautiful. And not realised. I mean, my turntable was buggered anyway.
Right.
So, but without all the noise and the vibration, oh my God, it's such an enjoyable thing. And
A joy to, yeah.
yeah, yeah, especially with like more sensitive records as well, like classical records. I listened to a lot of classical music last night on it, and just yeah, incredible the depth of sound.
It gives you a chance to go through your record collection again.
Yes, I've got a lot of records I've never listened to.
Really, you've sort of built them up. I've
Yeah.
seen people on, who've got a massive record collection. They have a massive system of, this is where I put my new records that I haven't listened to yet, and they have different piles, for different different days of the week or whatever.
Did you know a film, High Fidelity, where he had like
Oh yeah.
record my girlfriend?
He had his records were in chronological order of when he bought them, so he'd need to remember that he bought I don't know, the Black Album uh, on that day. So then he could find it in the record collection.
I mean, that's probably quite a good memory thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's how it's
mine,
got to be, isn't it?
mine sadly are in alphabetical order.
I don't. Mine aren't. No, mine aren't in any order specifically. I think they might be kind of in genre order. That's about it. So
Oh, oh my God.
yeah, they're kind of genreified rather than alphabetized.
I'm not sure I could do genre order. I think that would confuse me.
I just like to know like all my rock is here and all my folk is here.
Okay. I
Ru-
guess
But
um, um,
problem for me, my CDs are all over the place at the moment, so they're not in any order because I've got loads of boxes of them in different parts of the house. And then I've got a new CD unit. It looks like this beautiful piece of Indian furniture, and it opens out, and all the CDs are in the doors and inside, and it looks dead fancy. And that's in the other room here in the studio. And so I've got to take all the CDs that are in here into that, and then bring down more CDs. So it will be really nice. Yeah, it's exciting,
I
isn't it?
actually got rid of my CDs.
Well, I started to a few years and years ago. I thought, right, I'm going to sell all my CDs on eBay. It's going to go because I'd put them all on my computer, and I started with Green Day, and I got about 3 or 4 albums in, and then I instantly regretted it. I was like,
Mm.
oh, why have I just sold these CDs for like 99p on eBay? And then I've eventually bought them all back. Eventually,
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that well, it depends what you listen to. Like a lot of music I listen to is actually quite hard to.
I don't
It's
know.
quite out there. So the Apple Music either doesn't have it. I don't have Spotify, and yeah, so I can't access it. So I'm definitely made a faux pas of getting rid of my CD collection.
You definitely did. Yeah, and also the iTunes and that they change things change in your library without you knowing. Like the artwork will change, or the
Mm.
actual recordings will be slightly different, and you'll be like, that's not the same recording I had of that record. This is different, and it's really annoying. I don't know why they do.
So they can certainly get rid of all your music.
They can't. Well, because I've got my library on there, and then I use something called iMatch, which
Okay.
matches albums with their database.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not really sure how that works, but I think that's where all the messing up goes. But then the artwork just always gets changed
Yeah.
around.
I did iMatch, and in the end, I had to unsync them because so much of my music was lost. I was like,
Right.
oh, well, just not lost, but just jumbled up, and I'd be like, oh. So I have all my CDs on a hard drive.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
the good thing with vinyl is obviously I had 10,000 plus CDs, and I don't obviously have that in vinyl, so I've got a more limited.
You'd need to reinforce your floors.
Yeah.
You really,
True. They'll teach me to like actually listen to them. So I'm pretty sure I had CDs that I didn't even know I had that I ended up getting rid of. So.
we've had a big cull in the last during lockdown. We did go through loads, or before lockdown actually. We did go through piles of CDs, and we definitely got rid of at least a tub full, which had to be done. But I think when I look at my CDs though, I can go, oh, I remember when I bought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's nice, You don't do that so much with when you're going through your iTunes library.
No, absolutely not. No. and both our we've got the same car, so you can.
We
It's
have
got to see.
matching cars. That's how cool. That's so funny.
It's the same color, isn't it? Yeah.
They're the same, yeah. It's not, is it? I don't think it's the same year though, is it?
Is yours newer than mine?
I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't think you. I think yours is a year older than mine.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows?
We've got VW Passat estates just to
Yeah.
show. And they're
Proper cars.
kind of, what color are they? Like silvery,
Oh no, autumn gold or autumn brown, I think they're called.
silvery gold kind of color. It's really, really old man dad car, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, totally. But you've got a wife and a child. I've got a double bass and a book problem. So, I don't think I should have that car.
I think it's perfect.
And I don't drive it
I don't
now.
feel like but yeah, I don't feel like a dad or old like an old man in it. I think it's really cool. I love it. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, no, they're lovely cars.
I
In fact, I've had Fords before that.
mean, my first car was a Volvo 340. It was
Oh,
a horrific tank, Such
Fords one.
classic. Can you imagine me pulling up at sixth form in that? Oh yeah, that got the girls. Not.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean now. I was a bit worried there, but no need to worry. It's all good.
No, nothing to worry about.
Because you teach in a school, pulling up to sixth form could mean,
Oh, no, when I was at sixth form in my 340. I sold that car to the bassist in my old band, Jeff, for 50 quid and 2 pints. I think that's what it was. And he loved it. He put like subs in it, and he had like little flick. He put little switches in the dash for the speakers and stuff. And then he drove it into a ditch, killed it, and blew up the radio. And then it went and got crushed, which is really sad because it would be a classic car now.
yeah.
It was a 1980, and my parents bought it brand new. Yeah, it's
But the thing is, both our cars are diesel, and that
that's
probably
not
a bad choice in car now.
well. Yeah, yeah.
If the push to go electric is going to be
Oh,
immense.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it
Oh,
would.
this ties in perfectly to what we were talking about the other day. Me and John want to get motorbikes, and Jade will be going, "No!" She'll be getting very angry about that. She's not impressed with that idea. But yeah, I've been looking at doing my test again because I did my CBT like a few years ago now. It's out of date.
Right.
I'd love to have a Harley. That'd be
I
amazing.
mean, you look like you should have a
Exactly. Exactly. It should be, right? It's just not happened. My dad used to have a motor. He had a Kawasaki. I think Kawasaki. Yeah. Years and years ago when I was a kid. But I've never owned one, unfortunately. Well,
Never owned one. I've driven one, a Kawasaki 125, for motocross. But I've not. Yeah, I'm rubbish on the back of them, I have to say.
no one
Like,
can do that.
no, no.
Being a
'Cause-
passenger.
Yeah, yeah, rubbish at being.
No,
Yeah,
I've never
not.
done.
Yeah, it's frightening.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think this country's not probably the best country to have a motorbike, but in going across America or Spain or something on a motorbike would be amazing.
Yeah, I think Europe's pretty awesome for it. Um,
Yes. Well,
Jade's
yeah.
uncle is a Benelli dealer, I think, and he's got his own motorbike garage, and he does repairs and MOTs and all that stuff, and deals with Benelli and builds bikes for people, and he often goes on tours across Europe and things. So I'd go
Wow.
with him, couldn't I? That'd be great. I was thinking we could have the Warden Parker motorbike tour. Amazing. With you with your double bass strapped to your motorbike. Oh yeah, man.
I have a travel one, but that's still too big for the motorbike.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
it's gonna have to just be airmailed.
happen. Rush.
I know, you'd have to have a sidecar, and then you can stick your double bass in the sidecar. Ah, this is great. uh, we
Um,
like the hairy bikers. We'd be like the hairy biker musicians.
I was just thinking we're like the hairy bikers, and I think Rush, the rock band Rush, pretty sure they had like motorbikes on their tour bus, and they used to just
Wow,
some sometimes they'd get off the bus with the motorbike and then motorbike their way between states and stuff.
that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a way to tour, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, falling off them, I imagine, is not much fun.
Maybe we could get Netflix to fund it and film it. We could have a series.
The hairy musicians. I mean, what would it be called?
Aren't
But
most? Oh God.
the thing is, it would be quite hilarious because they would spend, it would be amazingly shot as most things are on Netflix.
Yeah.
Beautiful bikes, and we'd be, motorbiking along and then arriving at the venue playing to four people. It would be quite humbling.
Oh, that's horrific. Yeah. Yeah. T- Turning up to the Portland Arms where there are 5 people.
Most of them are related to you.
That's- yeah. My mum and dad. Jade's mum and dad.
Then the weird interviews that would go on afterwards. So, how was that show? And we both have to like somehow go, yeah, it's it's building.
Yeah, that's it. It's building. It's building.
Well,
Solid. Yeah, to
this
my
time next year, man.
ah.
Now I've gone American. Maybe. Yeah. Talking of Netflix, I did watch Eddie the Eagle.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. The documentary.
Yeah. No, film. Amazing. You've got to watch it. It's a real feel good film. With Hugh Jackman as his coach.
Oh,
And
I haven't seen that.
yeah, it's just beautiful, and it makes you feel like you could do anything, even if you can't. That's related to our music career somehow.
There you go. So this is a call out to Netflix. We are currently available for this show as long as you kind of fund it. And we haven't got motorbike licenses or motorbikes, so you're gonna have to do that as well.
Yeah, and maybe crowds. If you could get crowds of people,
Yeah, make
you
it
know, um,
make it look good.
yeah. Basically, we're asking them to manage our lives and career, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll be massive after that. Be fine.
Sponsored by Netflix.
Yeah, then we could do a cookbook.
Cookbook.
Like the Harry Potter. I was going back to. Never mind.
At least it'd be safer than a motorcycle maintenance book. But
No, that would be terrible.
well, there's a kind of, isn't there, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance? It's like a philosophical book, I think.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Still not read it. It's in the
So,
pub.
how long have we been going for now? I have literally no idea. Should we go to the Pete Ord interview?
I think we should.
All right then. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our interview with Mr. Pete Ord. Hello and welcome to our interview with Mr. Pete Ord, musician and artist. I have a big long list here of fantastic things that Pete Ord does, and I'm going to reveal them to you now so that you know who the hell we're talking to. Pete Ord is a musician, a drummer, a bassist, a guitarist, a songwriter, a producer, and director of his own label and agency, Haystack Records. He has had many productions receiving airplay on international radio, including BBC Radio 1, 2, 3, and 6. He has played in many rock and punk bands and currently plays bass in the Electric Lights with myself. He is also plays in some of the UK's top ceilidh bands that perform all over the UK. Pete can also sing in traditional Cumbrian dialect and is known to sing original and traditional folk songs in a session or two at a folk festival. Pete is also a live sound engineer for The Willows and many other acts, which is how we started to work together. He runs Sunbeam Studios in the Lake District and has produced many bands, including Three Penny Bit, Ross Cooper and Tom Oates, The Tweed Project, Gavin Davenport and the Teacups, to name but a few. Pete is now a lecturer at Leeds Conservatoire, teaching a module on music in the community. He has been doing videos for Soundabout TV during the lockdown, and he's also turned his hand to doing a van conversion and many home development projects, including his library behind you. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Pete Ord.
Jesus.
Have you done the shed? Is the shed done?
And the shed. I don't know how you have time to do all those things.
That's the sign of someone who's definitely Googled me and discovered a few biographies kicking around that I've forgotten exist.
I did find a biography. It's quite handy, but I had been running it through my brain for a while. Yes, he does. Yes, and he does that. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think jack of all trades, master of very few springs to mind.
I wouldn't say that, Pete. I wouldn't say that. So, Pete Ord, how should we start this? I think maybe we should start with the lockdown and maybe the last sort of 12 months of your life.
Okay.
Let's work back.
Day.
Let's start with the lockdown. So, how have you coped in lockdown? Have you been in struggling times, or have you been okay?
It's been it's a funny one, really, because I feel kind of coy talking about it to a lot of people, because obviously our industry is on its knees and people are suffering a lot. But I've been having a whale of a time. I'm not going to lie. I've really enjoyed it.
Pete Ord, shut.
Well, I mean, I'm lucky. I lost a load of work like everybody else did. I'm not of course, but I'm still salaried. I have 2 salaried jobs as well, so I wasn't financially screwed, essentially. And then that's meant 2 things. One, typically I spend at least 3 nights away from home a week, if not more. Right. So this has just been like a real chance to. This is the most time I've spent in my house since I've lived here. Like straight up, I've not spent this much time with my wife since I've married her. I've not which has pros and cons. So yeah, just having that chance to be at home has been really good. But then I've ended up with loads of extra work, essentially. So I'm doing loads of things that I wasn't doing before, and I'm finding it quite exciting, actually, to be honest.
Do you think that's because from the way you've worked in the past, you're dipping into lots of different things, and so you're the man to come to for X, for Y, for this? And so
yeah, there's definitely
do things, and you're kind of a good person to go to help with it.
There's definitely an element of that, yeah. And I think some of it's just luck. Like, I'm not going to lie. Some of it is just right place, right time, knowing the right people. Right. So I've ended up doing a bunch, and like everything in my career has always been, once one thing happens, it kind of snowballs into everything else. So I guess the first thing that happened that was lucky and unlucky in some ways was I was in Switzerland on tour with Tom Oates and Ross Cooper when lockdown hit, essentially. So they went into lockdown in Switzerland pretty much while I was there, and then we got back, and UK went into lockdown within 5 days of me being back, essentially. But what happened while we were there is all our gigs got cancelled, so we were
stranded
for a few days, yeah, essentially. So we did a live stream, probably one of the first live stream gigs that anybody did, essentially. And because I was there to do it for them, it was, I can't say this without sounding like too much like I love myself, and I don't mean to, but it was just really good quality. It was a really good quality live stream, and we got a lot of compliments on that. So that made me quite immediately at the forefront of a few other people who I know's mind who were determined to take their events online. So that just meant I was straight away thrown into doing online events. So I've been submerged in that throughout lockdown, essentially.
Amazing. Yeah, I was going to mention the live events because me and Jade have done. We tried to do a couple of things, and our audio and video was just diabolical. And but you seem to have worked it out. Is there's quite a lot of different kind of ways of doing it, I presume, or is there any sort of if you could give any advice to anyone briefly, is there anywhere they could go to kind of
Yeah, so I've been working with. Started out as Folk Weekend Oxford, so they had an April festival, and that they moved the entire thing online. The only festival I know that have moved their entire thing, over 50 events, all online across a weekend. And then off the back of that, Kat and I, who runs the festival, we did a webinar on how we made the festival run, essentially. Which is, it's out there on YouTube. I think it's called Folk Weekend Oxford: How to Get Started in Online Events, something along those lines.
Okay, great.
And then we've just done another one today. Actually, we did one this morning, which is like a follow up, because now we're 3 months down the line, and we've continued to do. It's turned into a concert series essentially. So we're putting on 2 gigs a week minimum at the moment, and we've kind of upped the tech game to make that. So now we're in a position where I can mix the gigs as a sound engineer from my house, no matter where the artist is in the country, essentially.
I don't understand that. Do you, John?
So I've done another webinar this morning on that. So if people want to know all the details about it, then they can catch up on those.
So if you check out the Folk Weekend Oxford, if we can put a link, we'll put a link somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Are you saying we can now gig without sound engineers? They can like be in their house and we don't have to.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say you can do it without us, but you don't have to actually interact with us.
Oh,
and that's the worst bit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that could work for drummers as well.
now I'm listening.
Is that monetized? Are you able to make any money from that?
We've put about £40,000 into the industry so far.
Jesus.
In artist fees and so it's running as a fully commercial venture. It's fully ticketed. It's behind a paywall, so people can't access the gigs without paying for a ticket.
Right.
And then so we've put quite a lot of money. That is about £40,000 now, and that goes across artist fees and also pay me as an engineer. Pays Kat, who runs the festival, and she's got an assistant, and it's like it's a whole. I would say it's upped my income by a quarter, if not more, a month.
Fantastic. It's amazing what you can do.
Yeah.
So it's functioning, definitely.
So you've been doing that. You've been doing lots of live engineering, and what else have you been up to? I did watch one of your Soundabout TV videos, which is fantastic.
Yes. That essentially, that's the other side of it, is that I just used to work. Well, I didn't say used to. I still do. I work for a charity called Soundabout, who provide music, community and communicative music making sessions for adults and young people with learning disabilities, essentially. I used to do a lot of work for them when I lived in the south. It tailed off when I moved back to the northwest, but they started. And this is where I was lucky again. They were probably the first community music charity I can think of that would bang straight in. We're going to move our community music making online.
Right.
So they just asked me to do a few of those. And then that snowballs, doesn't it? Like I am known as being a bit of a tech head, so then I've ended up doing a load of training for other community music charities on how to move their stuff online. It just kind of snowballs into that. So I'm doing a bunch of that as well, essentially.
Amazing. That's fantastic, and kind of gives you a sense of doing something really helpful during this time when everyone's stuck at home and a lot of their resources have just gone out the window.
There's that, and I think what I found really fascinating about this period is, of course, it's very difficult for a lot of people, but what is really highlighted to me, and this through the community music stuff, but also through the live gigs that we've been doing, it's really highlighted how many people are struggling anyway the rest of the time,
right?
Even when everyone else is in normality, as such, in inverted commas, because we're getting. Well, firstly, in the community music stuff, we're getting people saying we wouldn't normally be able to access this. This is amazing. You've been a lifeline, all that kind of thing. But the same with the gigs. People are kind of getting in touch saying, any number of reasons. I've got a disability that I struggle to get to gigs. I've got young children, I struggle to get there. I've got agoraphobia, mental health problems, any number of stuff that means they struggle to access live music that are now like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Now suddenly the world's opening up to them. Yeah, we have a
Yeah,
friend who is in a wheelchair and comes to some of our gigs, and we sat down looking at the gigs we had and what gigs you could come to, and it's just terrible. Can't
Yeah.
come to that. Can't come to that. You know, it's very. It's when you're um, when you're not faced with it, you don't see those problems, and then suddenly when you sit down with someone and go, "Oh, hang on a minute, you're cut out from so much stuff."
yeah.
So I
I
guess
think you hope.
you would say that a lot of this is now going to, when if normality happens in the near future, hopefully, this sort of thing is going to carry on, and
I
venue
think it's here to stay. Yeah.
online, they're going to have an online facility to.
Definitely, I think it's here to stay. Me and Kat are talking about the festival, Folk Weekend Festival next year, about whether, because it's April, so it's still touch and go whether it could happen. So we're still planning to do an online, even if we can have an audience as well, and going forward forever. And then we've been doing a bit of market research into maybe when artists go back to touring, they might also include an online date as part of their entire tour for people that, for if they're not playing a certain area, or people that just won't be able to access it. So there's kind of ideas about continuing it. I think it's here to stay.
Mm.
Yeah. And do you think, if you do that online, which sounds like you're going to do that, do you think you'll move it so that the artists actually come in and do it on stage rather than in their houses, or do you think there'll be a change?
Maybe we've kind of looked into that and kind of discussed it a bit. I think there's definitely, I think when we've been discussing it, I think I'd quite like us to be able to do that, because then that opens up a revenue stream back to venues, because they need it just as much as anybody, don't they? And we've been trying to make it with these online events that we're feeding as much of the behind the scenes industry as possible, as well as paying artists.
Right.
So I'm keen to kind of get him to venues if we can, just so there's something there for them.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that makes sense, because sometimes I find I don't necessarily want to see artists sitting in their lounge. I like a stage and that whole experience, and you just can't really. It's hard to get that. I tried playing around with lighting and trying to make it look like I've got a spotlight is just doesn't work at all. I don't know.
I think that's one of the interesting things, is that as we move, I think we've got away with it almost so far, in that if the camera's a bit crap, or the lighting's a bit crap, or someone's in the home, everyone's just grateful that it's happening.
Yeah.
So we're all right. But if we get to a point where people are back in venues and there's audiences as well, I think we'll have to up the game to make the stream quality as good, if not better, than probably better cameras, that kind of thing. I think we'll have to do it at that stage.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, well that leads nicely actually into, I was going to ask you about projects moving forward. So have you got anything exciting happening for the next 12 months? You must have something in the bag, maybe, aside from more.
Kind of, but it's hard, isn't it? It's such an unknown.
Have you got a Pete Ord solo album coming out?
But you know what? At the beginning of this year, I made a bit of a New Year's resolution that I was going to start playing again, and I was going to start writing again.
Well, I remember you saying I might have some kind of project.
I've still got it there. It's still there in my head, but I've just not started it. It's still there in my head, but I can't give too much away because it's kind of got to be secret.
Oh,
part of the element of it is it's got to be secretive.
Right. Okay. And then you go, "Wow, look at this! Here's my vinyl."
Well, kind of, but without even saying it's me.
Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting.
You're not going to do it under your own name?
No.
Oh.
Like it.
Do you know what? It doesn't matter. Maybe I'll tell the basic premise. The premise is that I'd start writing again, but collaboratively with people across the country.
Cool.
So I'd kind of I'd get me and maybe one or two other songwriters involved to kind of form a band, and then I'd write something loosely and just send it on, and then we'd just send it on and send it on and send it on until it kind of, and then we'd send it at the end onto someone else to mix it. So I was going to ask Matty Moon or someone like that to mix it. So then I wouldn't have heard it until the mix.
That's like
essentially.
It's going to go on, and then
yeah, same idea. Then say it was with you, or then someone else would write something. They'd send it to me, and I'd be able to say essentially, you have to take free reign. Like if you want to cut a verse, if you want to do this, like you do what you think the song needs, then pass it on to the drummer or do whatever, and then see where the songs are at the end of it. That's kind of and then have an album of stuff that And then my idea is that we'd put it out, but none of us would say any of us were on it.
Sure. Yeah.
So we'd just try it. We'd maybe talk to a few friends, say, look, I've done this thing. Could you post about it saying you've heard it, saying it's good or whatever, but without ever saying it. So, and just see if it's possible to grow something like that.
Yeah, why not? It sounds like a very cool idea. I love it.
But I've got to actually do something about it. So
yes, definitely. Well, you've said it now, so you've said it on the podcast.
Yeah, that's it. So at least you two know about it.
You two are on it.
You too.
Yeah,
He's starting big, isn't he? Like,
oh well, good luck with that. Good luck. I'll be excited to hear it or be involved in it, which I'll definitely be up for. Okay, so shall that kind of again, you've segued me perfectly here. It's almost like we planned this. So,
which we definitely didn't.
we definitely, come on, guys! You've got to like, we gotta have a myth of lots of meetings. We had lots of meetings, socially distanced. We spent a long time just
cancelled it about 40 times.
Standard.
Yeah. Well, now that my internet works, we're in business. Okay, so as a label owner and a creator of music yourself, and as you say, you're just going to do another project there. How do you see the future of physical formats? We've been talking about physical formats in previous podcasts, and we've been toying with tapes.
You've been toying with tapes,
and John appeases me, which is very common. But what do you think of CDs in the future? So CDs are really the only thing. But how do you see this going in the future?
Well, I did do a little research before this event, so I have listened to the previous podcasts at least. It's tricky, isn't it? It's hard. I think the whole tape thing. I'm sorry, Cliff, but I think the whole cassette thing.
It's an art. It's an art project.
The thing is, though, right? they sound shit.
They're actually not that bad. I've got a really nice tape deck up there, and
that's a phrase no one's ever said.
It's quite a rare Technics, that. And it sounds pretty good. I've got some Sting on there, and it's kicking. It sounds
already, or everything about what you've just said.
I love it. I want the new Pete Ord album on tape. Come on.
I don't see it. I don't see, like, vinyl's got kudos, hasn't it, with young people. They like
it's going to go away now.
No,
really?
No, but tapes. Some people don't even know what they are.
They're quite popular, you know. People selling tapes now as a gimmick, as it's part of a box set. You know, like I think Billie Eilish, you could get her new album on tape. Taylor Swift's album is on tape.
But my point being,
more of a fan thing rather than actual. They probably never play it.
And also, it's clearly a retro throwback.
Exactly.
Whereas vinyl, it isn't just a retro throwback. I think vinyl, its surge in popularity again is because music, obviously the industry has massively changed, but I don't think the subculture concept has entirely disappeared. I don't think it's there in a way that it used to be, but music is such a visceral thing that means something more than the music to the people that listen to it, that fully going to MP3, fully going to streaming was always going to leave a bit of a hole there, I think, for people who needed something more because it became more about, because it's more of who they are than just the music. So I think vinyl's got a resurgence because that was an easy thing to grab onto, to kind of, because it already had a history of that, of 7 inches and that kind of thing. Whereas cassette is like a total, just a retro thing, isn't it? There's no longevity in it, I don't think.
No, I think you're right.
What about mini discs?
I enjoyed your little mini disc chat, actually.
Oh, dear.
Mini discs are one of those things, aren't they? They're like the lost art form. Mini discs were great. I totally agree, but just like they came too late, and then there's just no chance for them.
Yeah. What about laser discs? Does anybody remember laser discs?
God.
No. Okay, fine.
I had a Betamax. Yeah, classic. Anyway, thank you very much, Pete.
It's all right.
So you won't be making any tapes in the near
I just don't see
future?
a point. The thing is, because also they're tiny, they
Yeah.
sound crap, they look crap. You can't get any decent artwork on that. You've got to take your artwork down, if anything. That's like the love of vinyl, isn't it, for a lot of people?
All that art. It's very easy.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree. But
Does that mean we're not doing tapes now?
I might still make a tape.
I mean, the thing is that I'm interested about you and making your tapes is that I liked that your
Like,
reference point.
out, you know, on
Well, the thing is, your reference points are Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift. Like, are you aiming for the same fan base?
He is basically Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish. He
Well,
did a collaboration project, and that's what came out.
with all the respect in the world, I think you might need a new image consultant.
I've got no aspirations.
It's great. Cardigan.
Cardigan, yeah. God.
Just the cardigan. That's the album cover on tape.
Oh dear. Right, we are running out of time, but moving on from the tapes, let's talk about new music and any have you got any hot tips on music you've been listening to lately, Pete Ord? Come on, throw us in.
So,
what have you been listening to?
well, I've listened to a lot of new to me music in lockdown.
Okay.
So I've been doing a little thing. I've told you about it before, but for the purposes of everyone else that's listening. I read James Acaster's book, Perfect Sound Whatever, last year, which the basic premise of which is that he decides essentially that 2016 is the best year for music ever. And it's because and then he kind of spends the book justifying why, but really it's about what happened was he had a breakdown in 2017, and his way of getting through this breakdown really was to obsessively listen to music from 2016, and then he just kind of got into it, and now he's just like, so the book is about his breakdown, and he kind of weaves the stuff he was listening to from 2016 into the book, and it kind of symbolizes parts of what. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. Okay. Anyway, at the end of the book, in the appendices, he calendar years an album for every day of the year, essentially.
Okay.
So a group of friends and I, so there's 4 of us in total, we've been following the calendar since the start of lockdown and listening to every album that he's saying every day, and then discussing it in a WhatsApp group and scoring each one of them out of 10, essentially.
Fantastic.
So I've been listening to at least one new album a day, but very specifically from 2016.
2016 only. What was the book called again?
It's called A Perfect Sound Whatever.
Okay. And so you've got what? What was released in 2016? Beyonce's Lemonade?
Yep.
Yeah. What else? There was the Radiohead record, wasn't there?
Moon-Shaped Pool.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not a bad year for albums.
No, and it throws. I mean, I'll be honest. What I've ended up listening to off it is probably 95% stuff that I've never heard of. Essentially,
it's a really, yeah, it's really cool.
It's really variable.
Yeah.
Some of it is awful, but some of it I've got a few hidden gems out of it for definite.
Yeah, I might just pick a year at random, like 83, and do the same thing.
Go for it.
Quite interesting.
Well, he's kind of the thing that he had that you won't have from then, at least, is obviously he's got access to everything from Spotify, Bandcamp. So he started off by like looking at all of the top 10, top 20 lists of the year, but then he moved on to like Bandcamp's top 20 per genre, the Asian chart top 20, the Nigerian chart top 20, and just went on it, and then it's kind of, so he says he's got like 700 albums or something from 2016 like now, but the book lists a year's worth essentially, and just over.
Wow,
that's incredible. We shall put a link in the comments or the thing.
Do you want me to throw you a couple of albums that? So basically, if I score my personal system, is if I score an album 8 or above, it means I'd listen to it again. So
Okay.
I've got a save playlist of albums that I've scored 8 and above that have kind of made it into my general rotation.
Okay. Fantastic. I love it, Pete.
David Bowie's Black Star. That was quite a good record.
Yeah, that's on there.
Yeah. God, that was an unusually good year.
There you go. Perhaps it was the best year in music.
What year was the Willows album that I was on?
I don't know. Was that 2016?
No, it was later than that, I think.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh well.
All right, I'll try and throw you some stuff you might not have heard of.
Okay.
So there's an album by a band called the Claypool Lennon Delirium.
Wow.
Oh, I know them.
That's the album is called. Let me just check the actual full title of the album because I think it's called "The Monolith of Phobos." Sorry.
Isn't that John Lennon's son?
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Oh well, if you know things, Cliff, that it seems like you do, then this is excellent. You've blown me away with some knowledge here.
It's like a crazy psychedelic album cover.
It's really It's really like psychedelic.
Yeah. Really good.
Do you know what that makes? That makes sense if it is, because it is very Beatlesy in places.
Yeah. It totally is.
Yeah, it's like the Beatles morphed with kind of Captain Beefheart, like a bit of Zappa. It's very concepty, very psych, but I loved it. I thought it was absolutely wicked.
That's the album I've got as well. Yeah, the yellow one, Monolith of Phobos.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think there's some good stuff on YouTube of them as well.
Oh well, that's some good knowledge. Okay, a couple of others that I scored quite highly. The Conor Oberst album, who is you might know as Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
He has an album called Ruminations from that year, which I just thought was brilliant. It's just the songwriting on it. You can't fault his songwriting. He's such a good songwriter.
He is. I love that.
I know it maybe is a bit of a Marmite voice, I suppose, but
I mean, there is that the album that everybody seems to own by Bright Eyes. It's a wonderful record.
Is that Lifted? Or there's two quite big ones, isn't there? There's Lifted, and then it's a long title or something about keeping your ears to the soil.
I think it's the long title one. It's got a beautifully recorded double bass, which is why I love it. But apparently the songs on it as well.
It's a great album.
And then if you want some kind of what I would call cool indie, very, very kind of BBC Six cool indie, probably make it onto Steve Lamac's show type vibes. There's an album that I'm listening to a lot from it by someone called Lucy Dacus. I don't know if it's Dacus or Dacus. It's spelled Dacus.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I really enjoyed that album as well.
We'll put them in there. We'll make a playlist, won't we, John?
You will.
Very honest. Oh my god, we're playlist one episode, and we still don't have the playlist. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That was our little chat with Pete Ord. That was fantastic. Big thanks to Pete for being our first guest on the podcast. That was great, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and it's something that we are looking in the future to do, and just trial and error, isn't it? It's like at one point it'd be great to have all of us in the room and do it all at once rather than all remotely. But
absolutely, yeah. And that interview actually carried on for like another half an hour or 40 minutes, and in the effort to kind of keep our podcast to roughly an hour, what we're going to do is release that other half of the interview as a separate bit. So when we put this podcast up and you've just listened to it, the next bit of the interview, if you want to go and listen to a bit more, then you can. It'll be there. Um,
And reassuringly, we've still not done a playlist, or I've not done a playlist. So.
yes, I was just going to suggest, actually, having just listened to that, John, do you want to go through the podcast and pick out all the music that was discussed?
No.
Would you like that job, John?
Yeah, just make up a playlist.
Yeah, that'd be really relevant. That'd be great. That'd be.
Okay, fine.
It
I'll
won't.
have a
Yeah, you'll be just too distracted because it'll start playing and then you'll wander off and then you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I listened to that."
Yeah, I've got loads of albums from 2016. It was great.
Yeah, that's it. So well, we need to work that out, don't we? We'll do that. It'll be fine. By
Yeah.
the time people are listening to this, there'll be a playlist. We're so organized. We're on it.
You're more on it than me at the moment.
I'll tell you what, I'm really tired. I've got to go back to school tomorrow. I've got another couple of days, or one more day in school, and then half a day on Zoom. So my life is now back in work. So I'm back in school, but I've got 3 sessions on Zoom as well in the week. So now I've got that sort of combination of real life and Zoom life.
No.
Yeah, and adjusting to normal kind of normality is weird actually. It's going fine. It's going really well. Much better than I kind of was predicting, and I was worried about it. But once I'm in there, it's fine. It's all good. I've got a sore throat just having to talk so much.
Well, you have like it's like I'm on a different planet to everyone else I know.
You
Because
are
my life is normal. So yeah.
in a very difficult place. It's very hard for you. I think it's really tricky.
Yeah, well, there'll be no gigs for me, and I got bits of recording coming up. I think I might be doing something with Dan Wild, but I might end up having to do it remotely. So
It'd be great if we could meet up, even not to do any music, just to like have a beer. That'd be nice. I'm
yeah,
sure
beer and a curry, that's what we do well.
we can manage that sometime.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. Using your social distance with masks.
Maybe,
Well,
yeah, maybe we'll hang out and then do a podcast together sometime. I don't
that
know.
would that'd be weird. I mean,
Yeah,
I've not seen you since March, so
I know. Well, it's probably longer than that.
other than that. Have we been paid for that Cambridge gig yet? The Paul and Dubs. When did we play that? Was it like October?
It was a long time ago. Was it?
Yeah,
Was it last year? Was it 2019?
yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
Mm.
was like October 2019.
Imagine the interest on that. We're gonna be millionaires.
I don't think you'll be compounding that interest at any.
Yeah, but with all the books you're reading, you'll be able to figure out a way of us getting, some money.
I'm not doing law. My brother's got a law degree. I'll talk to him. I don't know if we actually got a contract. I think we might actually have a contract with him because he was really good at all that stuff.
Right?
Just forgot
Yeah.
the players.
Yeah.
We won't
Yeah,
name
well,
his name. I think it was a pretty difficult time.
yeah.
You
There
should
was no
have said, I can't pay you, and then that would have been the end of it. We did kind of say that enough times. Like, look,
Yeah. Yeah, difficult.
okay.
But yeah, but we have no gigs obviously in the diary. So
we don't we don't have any gigs in the diary. I'm sorry.
no.
Uh,
I've just started to take out. I had some in November and December. I think I just took them out of my diary. So.
yeah, all the any Willows dates have been moved. So if you were going to come to Abingdon, that's going to be moved to next year. And the Winter Union gigs are all getting shifted to the following year. In fact, that's what Jade's doing now. She's doing.
Oh, so Union are not doing this Christmas. Then.
I don't think so. I think they're going to try and do some online stuff. They're going to do like some performances in a venue, filmed nicely, that kind of thing. So they're going to do something special, but I don't think there's going to be any actual live events don't hold me to it because I'm not in a band. But yeah, it's crazy. You know, I haven't actually been playing. I haven't played until this week. I've actually had pretty much sort of 3 or 4 weeks off playing guitar, and my fingers are all soft. So I've been doing tons of chromatic scales and this week, and I've been doing some Carcassy, been doing some classical guitar and getting my fingers going, which is really nice. So I will be getting back on it. John did some recording, and I've got some bass parts to chuck in the mix. Maybe I'll throw you a demo in the next podcast. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're basically just demoing for the next album. We've got enough we've got the songs, so we're just demoing stuff, finding sound that we like for a studio album, and then we're gonna share it around and talk about like maybe working with someone. We don't know what's gonna happen after that.
Yeah, get Ruben involved.
Yes, get Ruben on the drums. That'd be great. Yeah, it's good. We can talk more about that in the next episode, shall we? That'd be nice. Yeah, plenty to talk about. Shall we call it a day? Let's say goodnight. Thanks for tuning in again and downloading the podcast. And we shall be seeing you probably every fortnight until Christmas. Then we'll have to do a Christmas special. Woohoo!
Dress up for the Christmas special.
Absolutely. I've got loads of Christmas hats. Let's do this.
Yeah. Amazing. And we could do like our favourite Christmas songs.
Yeah, should we play? We could play, couldn't we?
You could learn them.
On the podcast. For my guitar there. Oh, it's in standard. It's in tune.
That's also not a Christmas song. I thought you were going to play like Cliff Richard's Mistletoe and Wine or something.
That was We Wish You a Merry Christmas.
Beautiful, beautiful. Book him now.
Yeah. I love Christmas. When you work in school, you know, you start teaching jingle bells in like November. So yeah, by December you kind of had enough of that.
Yeah, I've cancelled Christmas. So
have you? You always cancel Christmas. You're a right miserable git at Christmas.
I hate it. The only time I'm happy is if I'm volunteering at Christmas. Otherwise, family.
Very, very admirable. Just avoid your family at Christmas.
Yeah, I don't have a choice now, but
my house for Christmas.
Well, avoid your house or come to your house.
Yeah, come to mine.
I have to bring my mum.
Okay. She can stay in the studio. She can write an album while we.
Imagine. Her and Ruben could do a duet.
They keep each other busy. It'd be flipping hilarious.
Oh my god, that'd be dangerous. I think that would be dangerous.
That'd be dangerous. All right. Well, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks John. Thanks Pete Ord for your wonderful time with us. It was really nice. And watch this space for more guests and etc. etc. Bye. Where did she go? Nobody knows. She should be safe and sound. She's been gone for 4 days. What did she do? Who was she with? She should be with her friends. She can't be far away. Stand together and hold your hand. We'll stand together and search this land. We'll stand together and hold your hand. She must be standing there. She must be standing there. She must be standing there. Retrace her steps, check in the
I do wrong? You think it's my fault? I couldn't have caused this. I love her dearly. We'll stand together and hold your hand. We'll stand together and search this land. We'll stand together and hold your hand. She must be standing there. She must be standing there. She must be standing there. Stand together and hold your hand. We'll stand together and search this land. We'll stand together and hold your hand. She must be standing there. She must be standing there. She must be standing there. Stand together.